Okay, let's unpack this. We've all been there. You know, the crinkle of the menu, the murmur of background conversation, the hopeful anticipation as you wait for that first bite. Going out to a restaurant seems like one of the most routine, sort of functional things we do.
Right. It's just dinner.
It's just dinner. And yet, when we started digging into the source material for this deep dive, and it was a stack of incredibly insightful, just casual anecdotes from people talking about their dining experiences, we realized just how much complex human behavior is encapsulated in that single experience.
It's truly a microcosm. It really is. The simple act of sitting down to a meal away from home is governed by layers of, well, consumer psychology, these unwritten social contracts, service dynamics, and even, cross-cultural communication challenges.
So our mission today is to treat these personal stories, these recollections of great meals, embarrassing spills, frustrating waits like rich data points.
Exactly. We're going to dissect the why and the what behind these seemingly mundane moments.
Exactly. This deep dive is about extracting high-impact knowledge. This isn't just about, reviewing a menu. We are analyzing the psychological drivers of comfort versus risk, the absolute breaking points of the service failure contract.
Not contract.
The linguistic missteps that inevitably happen when we try to order something fancy, and the deep-rooted, almost therapeutic comfort we seek in specific cuisines.
It's a shortcut to understanding yourself as a consumer. And certainly to understanding the whole world of hospitality.
It really is.
What's fascinating here is the sheer power of pattern recognition. I mean, when you aggregate these individual dining stories, the variance in preferences, the diner who needs an hour to pre-study the menu.
Oh, I know that person.
Versus the one who just orders on a whim, it reveals incredibly deep psychological drivers about how we manage risk, anxiety, and decision-making in every aspect of our lives.
That's so true.
By the time we're done, you'll not only appreciate your next waiter more, you'll probably understand your own motivations for ordering that predictable burger every single time.
Okay, so we begin, fittingly, at the beginning. Our source material provided two fascinating and really contrasting childhood memories of going out to eat. And these formative experiences don't just shape our palates. They really set the stage for how we approach consumer choice and expectation as adults.
They're absolutely markers of identity.
Yeah.
The first anecdote is classic and simple. A small local pizza place, likely loud and brightly lit around age 5 or 6.
Yeah, you can picture it.
You could totally picture it. But the key emotional detail wasn't the pizza itself, which was probably, predictable. The source highlights the feeling of being amazed. Amazed by the sheer power of choosing anything from the menu.
I find that so resonant. As a small child, your life is an endless list of non-negotiable rules. I mean, you eat what is served, you wear what is laid out.
Right, you have no control.
Zero control. Then, suddenly, this laminated document appears, and an adult, the server, is literally waiting for your command. It's an intoxicating moment.
This is the establishment of consumer agency in its purest form. It's not just a memory of eating. It's a foundational moment in psychological development.
It's huge.
At that age, choices are so heavily restricted. So when you're presented with the menu, even if the eventual choice was, as the source Riley notes, something very boring like cheese pizza.
Which it always is.
Right, of course. But the cognitive process was groundbreaking. They felt the weight and, crucially, the excitement of making a big decision. The power lies in the veto, the ability to reject all other options and select one's desired outcome.
It's the birth of self-determination in a transactional environment. And if we look deeper, this formative feeling of control likely influences how that individual approaches decision-making later in life.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if your first experience with choice was positive and empowering, you may be more comfortable making significant financial or career decisions down the road.
Absolutely. The experience instilled a trust in the system of choice. And it explains why the restaurant industry is so invested in the illusion of control. Every small decision point they offer, how you want your eggs done,
right?
Which salad dressing you prefer, whether you want fries or a baked potato, it's all a mechanism designed to replicate that foundational sense of agency, maximizing your satisfaction, even when the choice is ultimately trivial.
They're feeding that primal need for control.
Exactly. The need that was first established around that pizza place table.
Okay, that gives us the baseline. A foundational memory focused on product choice and personal power. So now, let's sharply contrast that with the second memory shared in the source material, McDonald's.
Ah, yes.
Here, the focus completely shifts. The food itself was described as irrelevant.
Totally irrelevant.
The absolute priority was the experience, specifically the play area, and even more specifically, the infamous ball pit.
This immediately shows a critical divergence in how people define the function of a restaurant. For the pizza child, the restaurant was a venue for choice about food.
Right, the food was the point.
The food was the point. For the McDonald's child, the restaurant was purely a means to an end. The food, the burger, was simply a transactional requirement. It was a ticket to access the supplementary activity. The environment superseded the culinary product entirely.
It moves the concept of dining from a place of sustenance to a stage for entertainment, or maybe just pure sensory saturation. The source makes it crystal clear. The goal was 30 minutes straight in that glorious, germ-laden environment.
And that focus on sensory immersion is key. The ball pit is tactile. It's visually exciting. It's physically engaging. It activates completely different neurological pathways than simply analyzing a menu.
That's a great point.
This type of experience-driven priority establishes a pattern. Some adults will always prioritize the overall ambiance, the music, the mood, and the social function of dining over the quality or, the precision of the culinary execution.
So if we look at those two foundational tracks, we have the individual whose agency was established by selecting the product. We'll call him the pizza child.
The pizza child, yes.
And the individual whose satisfaction was linked to the sensory experience and the environment, the McDonald's child.
Precisely. And that divergence plays out in adult dining habits. The pizza child might become the person who meticulously researches the provenance of the ingredients, prioritizing the dish itself. The McDonald's child might become the person who is happy with average food. If the cocktail list is great, the lighting is moody, or the conversation is superb, they're seeking novelty and supplementary engagement. The fact that the source mentions the child didn't even care about the burger just underscores how easily, for some, the experience can override the product. That's a profound early lesson in consumer values.
And it makes you wonder, which one of those people are you? Are you there for the product or for the production?
Yeah.
That sets the baseline for expectation, really.
Right, it does.
So we move now into the reality of the adult service contract. What happens when those expectations clash with the real world of hospitality? We have a detailed examination of catastrophic failures that prompt departure and the subtle successes that define genuine, memorable hospitality.
The service contract, as we call it, is a very delicate agreement. The patron agrees to pay, and the provider agrees to deliver a certain level of product and attention within a reasonable time frame.
Reasonable is the key word there.
It is. And when that contract is breached, especially early on, the reaction is immediate and can be severe.
Okay, let's start with the absolute nadir of dining experiences. The worst service anecdote shared in the sources is truly an exercise in frustration. Waiting 40 minutes before anyone even took an order.
40? Wow.
40 minutes. And attempts to wave down the server were ignored as she kept walking past.
40 minutes. Think about that investment of time. That's not a delay. That's an institutional failure.
It really is.
This failure wasn't just about speed. It was a failure to acknowledge the customer's existence. The contract wasn't broken by poor food quality, which can be fixed.
Right. You can send that back.
You can send it back. But this was a complete failure to even initiate the service process.
And the most painful detail for me is the visual confirmation that the server was present. They weren't hiding. They were walking past.
Yes.
This isn't just incompetence, it's what we might call operational blindness, a focus so narrow on routine tasks, like delivering water or dropping off checks, that they fail to see the most basic, high-priority task, initiating the order process for a new table.
Exactly. The psychological impact of being ignored for 40 minutes is immense. It moves past frustration and into feeling disrespected.
Oh, completely.
The waving down, the nonverbal attempts at communication, those are the patron's last attempts to salvage the relationship. When those are consistently ignored, the customer realizes they are not a priority. The restaurant has essentially signaled, "You are not important enough for our attention right now."
And the reaction was decisive. They just left the restaurant. What does that say about the customer's tolerance threshold and, I guess, the economics of time investment?
It's the absolute breaking point. The customer has already invested 40 minutes of sunk cost, but they realized that the cost of staying, the uncertainty of whether service would ever arrive, and the possibility of a 2-hour meal due to perpetual delay far outweighs the cost of cutting bait and finding a new restaurant immediately.
So it becomes a rational decision?
It becomes a completely rational but emotionally charged economic decision. The loss of 40 minutes is already accepted. The potential loss of 2 more hours is not. That walkout is the most definitive vote of no confidence an establishment can receive. It signals that the failure was not a mistake, but a systemic breakdown.
A systemic breakdown. Okay, so if the 40-minute wait was a failure of the service contract,
Mm-hmm.
the second major failure point is a failure of the product contract. The food coming out cold.
Ah, the classic.
And here the source gave us a specific, undeniable indicator of failure. Cold pasta with cheese that wasn't melted.
Oh, that unmelted cheese is the forensic evidence we need. It's the smoking gun.
It really is.
When a customer complains that the food is cold, a cynical manager might sometimes assume the customer is being overly sensitive. But unmelted cheese on a hot dish like pasta removes all subjectivity. It is a crucial, non-negotiable quality indicator.
It's proof that the food sat. There's no other explanation.
Precisely. If the temperature wasn't sufficient or held long enough to achieve that basic physical transformation melting the cheese, it signals a fundamental, measurable flaw in the kitchen's timing or its expediting system.
The expediter, right, that person who's supposed to manage all this.
Exactly. It means the plate likely sat on the pass, exposed to ambient air, for a significant period. The error is moved from a simple mistake to a clear sign of operational disarray and poor quality control.
It raises that question of trust again. If the kitchen can't manage the basic requirements for a simple cheesy pasta dish, what else is going wrong behind those swinging doors?
Exactly. For the patron, this single detail suggests a chain of systemic failures. It erodes confidence not just in that particular dish, but in the entire kitchen operation.
Right.
Trust and competence is destroyed. Contrast this with a minor error, like a wrongly prepared side salad. That's fixable. Cold, unmelted food suggests neglect at a critical stage. It's often enough to ruin the meal, even if the replacement dish is perfect, because the initial experience signaled such a profound lack of care.
Okay, let's pivot and give credit where it's due. The source material provided positive examples, defining excellent service as those amazing experiences when waiters are friendly and check on the table without being annoying.
This is the essence of high-level service captured in a single phrase. It is the exquisite balance of attentiveness and non-intrusiveness.
That's a great way to put it.
The waiter is essentially managing a paradox. They must be present enough to anticipate an ED, a low glass, a forgotten napkin, but absent enough not to disrupt the guest's conversation, their flow, or their immersion in the experience.
That requires remarkable social calibration. I mean, how does a great waiter know when to approach and when to hold back?
They rely heavily on nonverbal cues and, really, a kind of predictive modeling. The skilled server recognizes subtle signals, eye contact held for a fraction too long, a hand resting near the edge of the table, a slight pause in conversation. They check in not just by speaking, but by making a brief, professional sweep of the table from a distance, confirming everything is okay before deciding whether a verbal check-in is required.
Right.
That skill is what differentiates mere delivery from genuine hospitality.
And the source highlights the ultimate human element. A smile can change everything.
That is the core of hospitality as emotional labor. The smile is a powerful nonverbal mitigator and a sign of confidence. It communicates warmth, competence, and a genuine willingness to engage.
Even if they're having a terrible day.
Even if the waiter is having a terrible day, projecting that positive energy creates an immediate, positive emotional contract with the patron. This goodwill is crucial because it allows patrons to overlook minor technical flaws. The food was slightly slow, the table wiggled, because the relationship feels positive.
That's so true.
The smile enhances the entire impression and acts as a psychological buffer against disappointment.
So we've moved past the idea that good service is just mechanical efficiency. It is highly skilled emotional and social labor, designed to project warmth and competence while navigating the delicate line between supporting and suffocating the patron.
That's exactly.
Now we enter the mind of the diner and look at how we approach risk when faced with a sheet of paper that dictates our next hour. We are deep diving into the starkly contrasting habits for approaching the menu, which reveal two distinct psychological approaches to decision-making and risk tolerance.
This section gets to the heart of consumer anxiety. The menu is not a list of delights for everyone. For some, it's a source of immediate high-stakes pressure.
Okay, so the first profile is the one who needs to look at the menu online first, often needing to prepare mentally. This is described humorously but accurately as pre-studying the menu like it's an exam.
This is a classic profile of the risk-averse, high-control diner. They actively dislike surprises when it comes to food, And the pre-study is a mechanism to manage anxiety and minimize decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue is real.
It's very real. When you are seated at the table, the clock is ticking, the server is waiting, and your companions are watching. This is a high-pressure decision environment. By reviewing the menu beforehand, they shift the cognitive load of analysis from the stressful moment of transaction to the relaxed environment of their home.
So the goal isn't just to choose a dish, but to arrive at the table with the decision already locked in, bypassing the pressure entirely.
Absolutely. We can link this to the psychological framework of System 1 versus System 2 thinking. System 1 is fast, intuitive, and devotional. System 2 is slow, analytical, and requires effort.
Right.
The risk-averse diner is using System 2 well in advance, at home, analyzing ingredients, pricing, and reviews, so that in the restaurant they can rely on the quick, automatic decision, which is System 1, which is simply recalling the pre-approved choice.
And this need for certainty, as the source points out, leads to highly predictable ordering, sticking to the known quantities. The burger, or maybe the chicken, which is labeled with that great sarcasm. Very adventurous.
The predictability is the outcome of the optimization process. They are optimizing for certainty and minimizing the risk of disappointment or regret. The cost of a bad meal, for them, is too high, whether financial or emotional.
Right.
They want the sure bet every single time. They are prioritizing a reliable, say, 7-10 experience over the potential for a 10-10 that comes with the risk of a 3-10.
That reflects a broader life strategy, doesn't it? If someone is risk-averse with their dinner, they're probably risk-averse with investment strategies or career changes. The menu is just a low-stakes proving ground for their core personality trait.
It serves as a perfect analog.
Yeah.
In their professional or financial lives, they also likely employ extensive preparation, modeling, and analysis before committing resources. For this diner, the menu is not a list of delightful possibilities. It's a potential source of anxiety that must be tamed through rigorous preparation.
They're sacrificing novelty for peace of mind.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Now, let's swing to the other side of the spectrum. The individual who thrives on spontaneity, preferring discovery upon arrival, and actively loving experimentation.
The brave one.
The brave one, exactly. If they see something they've never tried before, they usually order it.
This is pure novelty-seeking behavior.
Mm-hmm.
For this diner, the restaurant is a laboratory, a place for culinary exploration. They view the menu not as a test they must pass safely, but as a map to adventure.
Yeah.
They are optimizing for learning and experience, not certainty. The potential reward of a new, delicious, and memorable experience far outweighs the perceived risk of ordering a disappointing dish.
And the mental preparation is minimal, if not zero. They are operating heavily in that System 1 space, relying on intuition, momentary appeal, and the thrill of the unknown when the menu is placed in their hands.
Exactly. Their brain is seeking the dopamine hit that comes from encountering and engaging with something new. They are comfortable with ambiguity and find the challenge of the unknown exciting. While the risk-averse pre-studier seeks to avoid surprise, the novelty seeker actively chases it. This results in a higher variance in outcome. They will have more truly spectacular meals, but also more truly awful ones.
I think the brave label is key here. It suggests an awareness that this approach comes with risk, but they embrace it. I wonder if there's a mild pressure, too, to feel like you have to be the adventurous one.
That's a great point. Sometimes the novelty seeking can bleed into sort of performative ordering, choosing the weirdest item just to have a story rather than genuinely desiring the food.
Right, for the gram.
Exactly. But even then, the core motivation is the same, the prioritization of the narrative and the experience over certainty. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these two approaches, pre-study versus discovery, mirror how teams are structured in business. Some teams meet rigid plans and pre-mortems.
The risk aversion.
Risk aversion, yes. While others thrive on agile methods, iteration, and discovery in real time, the novelty seeking. The difference starts at the dinner table.
It's a fascinating low-stakes window into our core operating system. We've talked about service failure and decision-making. Now let's talk about those unforgettable moments where the social contract breaks down due to pure, magnificent human error. We're detailing the most embarrassing moments, which reveal how accidents and communication mishaps are handled in the highly visible, high-stakes environment of a dining room.
The dining room is inherently a public performance space, and accidents are amplified. How the staff handles those accidents often determines whether the experience is salvaged or ruined entirely.
The ultimate embarrassing moment detailed in the source is a classic. spilling an entire glass of water all over the table, and worse, directly onto the waiter.
Oh, no.
Caused by an ill-timed elbow movement while the waiter was carrying a tray. It's a triple-stage catastrophe. Water everywhere, disruption, and physically inconveniencing the person serving you.
The patron in that split second is overwhelmed with three distinct waves of emotion. Immediate shame over the mess, guilt over soaking the server, and the stress of the public spectacle.
Oh, the stress of everyone looking.
Yes. The power dynamic in the room temporarily reverses. The patron has, through accident, caused harm to the provider and disrupted the entire environment.
And the immediate instinct is to apologize profusely and offer to clean it up, which only makes it worse. You're just getting in the way.
Exactly. This is the ultimate test of the service professional's grace. And the waiter's response here was masterful. Instead of reacting with understandable frustration, he actually laughed and said, "It happens all the time."
That response is pure gold. It's everything.
It is textbook high-level service de-escalation. By laughing, the waiter instantaneously normalized the extreme error. The humor acted as a deflector shield against the patron's shame.
Right.
And by saying it happens all the time, he relieved the intense social pressure and guilt the patron felt, signaling, "This is a minor inconvenience that I am equipped to handle, and your emotional comfort is more important than my wet shirt."
That singular act of grace and humor salvaged the entire evening. It turned a catastrophic moment that would have sent the patron running home in shame into a memorable, ultimately positive anecdote.
It demonstrates that in hospitality, emotional intelligence, the ability to read, manage, and respond to the patron's heightened emotional state often outweighs physical efficiency. The waiter prioritized preserving the patron's dignity and the overall flow of the dining experience.
It's amazing.
It reinforced the idea that they are there to serve the guest, even when the guest accidentally spills a pitcher of water on them. That lesson in relational focus is crucial for anyone managing human interaction.
The second misstep is less physically dramatic, but, perhaps equally mortifying. The linguistic accident.
Oh, yes.
Recounting the moment of attempting to order gnocchi but accidentally saying gunachi.
Oh, the universal cringe. This raises a fascinating point about communication and cultural competence in global cuisine. Modern dining forces us to traverse multiple language zones, even within an English-speaking establishment.
That's so true.
Ordering complex or foreign dishes inherently involves vulnerability. You are announcing your level of knowledge, or lack thereof, to an expert.
And the waiter's reaction was confusion, having no idea what I was saying.
This is the moment the communication barrier becomes painful. The speaker reflected afterward that they kind of was speaking another language, which, in the context of phonetics, is accurate. The wrong phonetics rendered the word entirely incomprehensible, transforming a simple order into a momentary, awkward interrogation.
Right, and the waiter is stuck.
The waiter is stuck, trying to translate a noise into a menu item.
And what makes this so embarrassing is that the dish gnocchi is internationally famous. It's not an obscure regional specialty. It's an accessible dish that everyone should know how to pronounce, which only amplifies the feeling of inadequacy for the patron.
Precisely. It reveals a gap in cultural competence in a very public way. The core issue is that while the dish is globally known, its specific pronunciation acts as a soft gatekeeper. You either know it or you don't. For the patron, the embarrassment stems from feeling exposed as an outsider to that specific culinary culture. For the waiter, it's a momentary stall in the flow of the transaction. It highlights that even in service environments, clear, shared language is paramount to efficiency and comfort. We are constantly navigating these small linguistic traps.
I think everyone listening has had a similar moment, whether it was trying to order pho or gyro or chorizo, that brief phrase in panic when the waiter gives you the blank stare.
And that's why it sticks with us. Those moments are a reminder that the dining room, for all its structure, is a human space where communication is always prone to error, and that vulnerability is shared.
Having navigated the drama and the decision-making, let's get to the fun part. What people actually choose to eat, and more importantly, why.
Yes.
We're analyzing the favorite cuisines shared in the source material and looking at the underlying motivations. Comfort, health, or nostalgia.
Culinary preference is deeply psychological. It's rarely just about calories or flavor. It's about what the food makes us feel.
Okay, so Japanese cuisine shows up strongly. The love is comprehensive, listing specific items like sushi, ramen, and tempura, the all-encompassing phrase being everything. This is a cuisine often associated with precision and sophistication, yet it provides intense emotional satisfaction.
What stands out immediately is the versatility and the range of emotional needs this cuisine satisfies. Sushi represents meticulous preparation, freshness, and often a social experience.
Right, it's very clean.
Very clean. Tempura is the indulgence light, crispy fried comfort. But note the specific role of ramen. It's explicitly called comfort food, something one could eat it every day.
If you can eat it every day, it means it is reliable, satisfying, and deeply familiar. It's not just a trend, it's a staple of emotional stability.
That connection is crucial. Ramen, with its warm, umami-rich broth, dense texture, and complex flavor profile, taps into a universal craving for restorative, supportive food.
A hug in a bowl.
It is a hug in a bowl. When people articulate that a specific dish is their ultimate comfort food, they are signaling a desire for consistency and sensory pleasure without cognitive effort. Ramen provides that feeling of being nourished and anchored, serving as a culinary anchor in a world of endless, complex choices.
So Japanese cuisine fulfills both the novelty seeker through diverse sushi rolls and techniques,
Yeah.
and the comfort seeker through the reliability of ramen. It's a complete package psychologically.
It is. It appeals to the need for complexity and precision while also satisfying the primal need for warmth, depth, and familiarity. This duality explains its widespread and enduring popularity globally.
Okay, so contrasting that deep, savory comfort, we have a strong preference for Mediterranean restaurants. The attributes listed are telling, focusing heavily on health and freshness, lots of vegetables, olive oil, fresh flavors.
The defining appeal here is categorized precisely. It feels healthy but still delicious. This reflects one of the most significant demands of modern dining, the desire to reconcile enjoyment with wellness.
Virtuous indulgence.
That's the perfect term for it. Virtuous indulgence. The diner wants to experience pleasure, delicious flavors, rich textures from olive oil, while simultaneously feeling virtuous and responsible about their health.
It's a way to feel good about the choice without sacrificing taste or sensory reward. The Mediterranean diet, famous for its association with longevity and vitality, becomes a psychological shortcut to feeling healthy.
Exactly. The emphasis is on fresh, ingredient-focused cooking, where the quality of the raw materials, the vegetables, the quality olive oil shines through, rather than being masked by heavy creams or excessive processing.
Right.
This choice signals a conscious consumer, one who understands the nutritional impact of their meal and prioritizes feeling energized rather than lethargic after eating. It aligns perfectly with the current global trend toward cleaner, plant-forward cuisine, where flavor and health are seen as complementary goals, not conflicting demands.
The preference isn't for the cuisine itself, necessarily, but for the feeling of clarity and lightness it provides.
The feeling is the product. The cuisine is merely the delivery mechanism for that feeling of wellness and responsible pleasure. It's a sophisticated way of saying, I am taking care of myself, but I am still enjoying life.
And finally, a delightful and highly specific preference. The enjoyment of breakfast restaurants, specifically the magic of eating pancakes at 2 p.m.
This speaks to the immense appeal of temporal flexibility in dining. Breakfast foods, pancakes, waffles, hash browns are intrinsically linked to a slower, unscheduled pace.
The weekend.
The weekend, leisure, childhood nostalgia. Eating these foods at a non-traditional time, like mid-afternoon, provides a powerful sense of playful indulgence.
It's a deliberate small act of rebellion against the clock and the structure of the day. It takes a food that signals slow-paced freedom and injects it into the middle of the routine.
That disruption is indeed the magic. It allows the diner to bypass the rigidity of the work schedule. A 2 p.m. business meeting is stressful. 2 p.m. pancakes are joy.
That's so true.
It's tapping into nostalgia, the comfort of childhood mornings or leisurely vacations, at a time when efficiency and production are usually demanded. The food serves as a temporary disruptor, maximizing momentary pleasure and transforming an ordinary afternoon into a mini holiday.
It's about leveraging food to change the perceived flow of time. It's not just a meal, it's a momentary escape hatch from adult responsibility.
And that escape is immensely valuable. It proves that the most successful dishes are often those that carry the heaviest emotional and temporal baggage.
To bring this back down to the actionable level for our learner, we've distilled the specific practical language points identified in the source material. These aren't just vocabulary lists. They are essential high-utility scripts for navigating the dining ecosystem successfully and confidently.
These phrases are transactional tools. Having these precise scripts ready reduces anxiety, especially for our pre-studier,
Right.
and ensures a smooth interaction, regardless of the cultural setting. Language should be clear, polite, and efficient.
Okay, so number one, Arrival and initial contact. The moment you arrive, you transition from the outside world into the service environment. You need to convey your needs instantly. The key phrase for arrival is, "Table for two, please."
This is a perfect example of transactional clarity and efficiency. It is concise, polite, and provides all the necessary information immediately. The number of people and the request for seating.
No ambiguity.
It avoids ambiguity, which is the enemy of efficiency in a busy host-and environment. Having this practice phrase ready is crucial for projecting confidence and assuring a quick, smooth entry into the restaurant's system.
It also prevents the awkward fumbling where you just point and hold up fingers. It's the verbal equivalent of a handshake.
Precisely. It signals that you respect the process and are ready to engage in the service contract.
Okay, so once seated, we often need to clarify or request specific materials. The next phrase is, "Could I see the menu?" The source notes this is useful even though most places provide it automatically, highlighting its use as a polite confirmation or request for clarification if the menu isn't obvious.
But the more important tool is the polite inquiry for guidance. Could you please recommend something? This is perhaps the most valuable relational phrase in the whole toolkit
Oh, interesting. Why?
because it signals trust in the server's expertise and transforms the dynamic from a simple transaction to a momentary partnership.
So it changes the power dynamic a little bit.
It really does.
Yeah.
It shifts the burden of decision-making off the patron, especially helpful for the risk-averse diner, and, crucially, it opens up a channel for genuine conversation about the dishes.
Yeah.
A recommendation request invites the server to showcase their knowledge, elevating their role beyond mere food delivery to that of a culinary guide. When a server feels respected for their expertise, the level of service often dramatically increases. They become invested in your satisfaction.
It also mitigates risk for the diner, right? If you order the server's recommendation and it's bad, you have a shared responsibility, the server is less likely to let that dish fail.
That's absolutely true. It creates a subtle, temporary alliance. It's much easier for the server to apologize and offer a replacement for a dish they personally recommended than for one the diner chose entirely on their own. The phrase is a sign of vulnerability, which fosters connection, and a pragmatic tool for risk management.
Finally, we need to bring the service contract to an efficient close. The source provided the two key options for settling the bill. Can I get the check, or can I have the bill?
These are the final, non-negotiable transactional steps. They signal clearly and politely that the dining experience is complete and the financial component needs to be initiated. The dual phrasing check versus bill is also important for regional awareness.
Right. For our learner, it's worth noting the distinction. Check is pretty standard in North America, while bill is common in the UK and Commonwealth countries. Using the correct local terminology reinforces the perception of being a knowledgeable, efficient patron.
And the language should always be soft. Using "can I get" or "can I have" maintains politeness and respect, even in this final, purely transactional moment. Reinforcing the importance of clarity right up to the end ensures a smooth, efficient close, which leaves a positive final impression on both the patron and the server.
You don't want to ruin the memory with an awkward exit.
After all the effort put into the meal and the service, you really don't. It's the final piece of social polish that completes the whole experience.
Perfect. Okay, so
Today, we dissected the seemingly simple act of dining out, excavating the rich psychological insights hidden within table talk and personal memory. We've seen how foundational desires for control are forged in childhood,
right.
contrasting the foundational power of choice from the pizza memory with the primacy of pure sensory experience from the McDonald's ball pit memory.
We identified the clear markers of service failure, the 40-minute wait, which was a breach of the service contract, and the cold pasta with the telltale unmelted cheese, which signaled a quality breakdown. And we analyzed the power of social intelligence, from the waiter's masterful de-escalation of a water spill to the universal awkwardness of the gnocchi pronunciation disaster.
And we saw how deeply our personality affects our approach to the menu, contrasting the high-control System 2 analysis of the pre-studier who sticks to the predictable burger with the pure novelty-seeking of the adventurer.
And the food itself.
Our preferences are clear. Ramen for emotional stability, Mediterranean food for the virtuous indulgence of health and flavor, and pancakes at 2 p.m. for that delightful temporal disruption.
So what does this all mean for you? We started this deep dive with that magical first memory of the pizza place, where the child was amazed by the sheer powerful ability to choose anything from the menu. But as adults, we saw how that same individual often optimizes their strategy for certainty, pre-studying the menu, and sticking consistently to the known items.
The burger.
The burger. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought, something to consider the next time you open a menu or face any high-stakes decision in life. The child was empowered by the spectrum of possibilities. The adult is often paralyzed by it.
Mm.
How often do you let the fear of a minor surprise, a dish you might not love, a conversation that might be awkward, a risk you might regret, keep you from exercising that potent childhood joy of discovery? Do you still exercise that raw power of choice, or have you become overly optimized for certainty and comfort?
Thank you for joining us as we turned everyday anecdotes into profound insights about human behavior.
That's all for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.